Hey guys, welcome to Summit Studios 2K. I'll be doing a top 10 list here. Today's top 10 list is The Walking Dead Top 10 Survivors. This is off the TV show. I personally haven't read the comics, so I'm not familiar with all the characters despite the one seen in the first two seasons of the show. So, quick warning for spoilers of Season 2. If you have not seen Season 2 yet, you should shut off the video now because there will be some pretty major spoilers that are going to be discussed. So, starting off the list at number 10, I have Morgan from the first episode of the first season because, well, he kept him and his son safe during this apocalypse, even though his wife did die, and he made that shelter in that house that it wasn't even their house. They just got in there, he set up the whole shelter, and as you saw in that episode, he is good at shooting with that sniper, and he's also smart, you can tell. But what keeps him low on the list, despite him only being in, like half of one episode, he is emotionally weak at times. Like you saw there when he couldn't pull the trigger to kill the wife, which I understand would be ridiculously hard, but that just keeps him below some people. So, number 9, I have Dale. He is probably one of the only people that can really think of that fully keeps his humanity all the way until his death. He keeps lookout on top of the RV with the sniper, and he's able to fix the cars in RV by himself. He doesn't really add that much to fighting because he's obviously old, and so he's not really that much of a help physically, but like Morgan, he's smart too. But he won't really make tough decisions, like with the whole Randall thing. He thinks everyone should live, and I understand that a lot. Like, I get a lot where he's coming from with that, but there comes a certain point where you're gonna have to make tough decisions, and he just wasn't really able to do that. At number 8, I have Lori because she's able to handle herself and she does a lot of work around the house too. But I mean, for just survival things here, she was able to kill those two walkers in the car when it flipped over, and she was pregnant, and she killed them in pretty creative ways, and they're awesome. But she was just able to survive by herself. She also shows good leadership qualities. In the first episode of the season, she was talking to Carol while Rick and Shane and Carl were still at that church place. And she just basically took charge and said, listen, you gotta stop blaming Rick and just basically put everything in perspective in a good way. So she has some good qualities there, but bad way, she always loses track of Carl. Like, I don't get how Carl keeps on slipping away and getting himself into trouble, but somehow he does, so I think she needs to keep better track of him. Number 7, I have Herschel, because over the first half of the season, he was sort of blind to what was going on, but once the whole barn incident with Shane happened and Sophia, he really woke up to the world around him, and he's a really good shot with the gun, as you saw in the episode where they were getting attacked and leaving the bar by those people, which I really don't know where he got those skills from. That just sort of came out of nowhere, but he's really skilled with guns. And also why I have him at 7 is because he's the closest thing to a doctor they have, and he's able to heal wounds, so he's able to keep people safe and alive longer than they would without him, like how he saved Carl. Um, but he has the same problem as Dale, how he's just old, and he's obviously good with guns, but there's a bunch of them up close. He won't be able to fight them off without one, and so that's what keeps him down here. Number 6, I have Andrea because she is very skilled with guns, as you saw with the training with Shane, certain parts of the season. So she knows how to kill walkers, she knows how to handle herself good, but again, why she's down here, she had really beginning of the season more than later, but she had flashes of being suicidal, which sort of took place at the end of the first season where she wanted to stay behind, but Dale talked her out of it. And that carried over into the season where Dale didn't feel comfortable giving her her gun, and she really didn't want to live in that world. And why have her down at number 6? Because, like I said, she can handle herself good, but also because when she didn't have a gun and the zombies were attacking in the first episode on the highway, she had what I think personally was the best zombie kill of the season when she got the screwdriver and she was locked in the RV and just killed it with the screwdriver. I thought that was great, so that's why she's up high on my list relatively. Number five, this is kind of surprising. Also, only in one episode, I have Meryl at number five. Because, like, downside, he's obviously really crazy and he's a big loose cannon, so he could really go off his horse there a lot and hurt someone bad. But he can handle himself so good. Like, you saw him killing all the walkers with the sniper on top of the roof. And then, more importantly, he beat the mess out of T Dog really easily. Like, when they started going at it, T Dog didn't even have a chance at that. He just took him down and just pounded him. And he does what it takes to survive. And this is a top 10 survivors list. And he was locked on the roof, sort of left for dead, and he was able to cut his hand off and then burn it to sterilize it and keep it alive. So he does what it takes to survive, and that's a really big quality to have out there. So I have him at number five. Number four, I have Glenn because he is the most underestimated person in the entire group, and no one really takes him to be that much of a leader, but I really think he's going to continue to grow in leadership qualities. Like Maggie already thinks he's there, obviously, but he's really going to continue to grow in that category. And you're going to see him become really mature and able to do what's necessary. And he's very fast moving, going in and out of places without. He doesn't really even have to fight the walkers, except when he has to, like with the pharmacy when he saved Maggie with the shelf, killing it, which was also another great kill of the season. Really interesting zombie kills this season, too, off a side note. They really stepped it up from last season. I know there really haven't been as many zombies this season. It's more been character development, but some pretty interesting kills when it happened. But that's Glenn number four. Now for the top three. At number three, I actually have Rick. Like, he's the leader of the group, obviously. But his downside, which a lot of people think, he is too nice at times. He wasn't really able to do tough decisions before, more like Shane would have to do. But when it came down to his second half of the season, he was able to do what was necessary more than before, like with Shane in the Better Angels episode and then the Nebraska episode with the guys at the bar. It seems that Sophia's death changed him and made him stronger after that happened, and he really sort of grew cold, but was able to do what was necessary after that. But another downside to Rick, which is why he's at 3 as the leader, he tries to save everyone, but he can't. He's always the one going out, and Lori almost died going, trying to look for him, and he just tries to do too much. Number 2, I have Daryl, because he is the lone wolf of the group, and he's much better off at surviving by himself. He is arguably the overall best at killing the walkers, and but he is an emotional roller coaster. Like, he was looking for Sophia, trying his hardest to find her, and showed being caring for Carol in that time. But then when Sophia's death happened, it made him cold. And he just sort of emotional roller coaster all the time. But he's able to do tough things too. Like, Rick wasn't able to, but he was able to pull the trigger on Dale. When Dale was dying, he was able to do those tough things, and he's really good at killing walkers, and he's just a great survivor by himself. And so I think that's why he would be number 2, and I put him above Rick. But number 1 survivor on the show I have is Shane, dead or not, because Shane's decisions for the group have kept them alive overall. I mean, with the barn, even in the first season, he protected Lori and Carl while Rick was in a coma. And he does what's necessary to survive no matter what. Like with Otis, if that was Rick instead of Shane there, Rick, Otis, and Carl all probably would have died. Shane did what was necessary to protect the people he loves. He's most experienced with guns out of the group. Rick even says it at some point that he's the best trainer, and he does everything to protect Lori and Carl. Now, he may be off morally, but he can survive by himself the best overall above any other people. So I have Shane at number 1. So thank you for watching my video, and remember, these are my opinions. So leave your thoughts and maybe your own top 10 list in the comments, and let me know what you think about mine, if I'm off or anything. Probably am at some points, not everyone's going to agree. I'll have a review of Season 2 coming soon, and a video of Rick versus Shane on who I think is the overall better leader of the group. So if you want to see those, hit the subscribe button up there. Those videos will pop up. I'll have them up in a week or two. So yeah, thank you and see you soon.